She was my first teacher, my mentor, my tutor, my tormentor. She was my protector and my rescuer when I blew us all up, put us in the hospital for one reason or another. She was my inspiration as I went through life and school, my North Star. At one time, she was my roommate. She was always my friend, my counselor, my confidant, and my support. Her passing has torn a hole in the fabric of my life that will never mend. I loved her, I relied upon her, and I will sorely miss her. People always ask, what do you want to be remembered by when you pass away? There are 4 things that I wrote down that I'll always remember about Lani. First, that she was short. At least in physical stature. Like Lani, I was also very short. When I was young, pre-puberty, I was always, if not one of the shortest kids in my class. But being short is like the boy being named Sue. It makes you compensate. And Lani was always a little bull terrier. She never really appreciated how small she was. And she took on any challengers, and she used her determination and her tremendous intellect to measure up to anybody and any challenge that was presented to her. When Lani finished law school and moved to California, she first came to live with me, which is how she was my roommate for a period of time. And just kind of illustrating Lani's personality. We had a shared driveway where 4 houses, and we all shared the same driveway. We all had to get into our houses the same way. We didn't have room in the garage for Lani's car, so she parked it next to our garage. And our neighbor Bill, who was well over 6 foot tall, big husky, angry guy, did not allow us to park in the driveway because he had a Lincoln Town Car that he needed to use the entire driveway in order to get it smoothly into the garage. So when Lani parked her car there, he came over, pounding on the door, shouting, screaming, swearing about us leaving this car in the driveway, and diminutive Lani, just barks back up at him that she's a lawyer, she knows her rights, she has every legal right to park her car in her driveway, and so Bill, whenever Lani is home, is just going to have to jog his car in and out to get in the driveway because she is going to park her car in the driveway. So poor Bill, he didn't know what to make of this midget woman who was given as good as she got. A second characteristic that I'll always remember of Lani, as Kate has said, was her tremendous intellect. With an IQ of 160, she was literally the definition of genius. And her accomplishments in school and later in work demonstrated her tremendous intelligence. Once I passed elementary school and started to get grades, she was my inspiration. She was who I tried to emulate. I always wanted to get straight A's in school, just like Lani did. But while Lani got them every quarter, I never did. No matter how hard I tried, I could never measure up. But despite that, her example was, such a guide to my life, that my education and later on my work was benefited by the fact that I was driven to always do my best because I was trying to emulate my big sister. A third characteristic that I would always remember about Lani is that she was very emotional. And she wore her emotions on the outside. Stoic was not the adjective that you use to describe her in any context. As anybody who's ever crossed her would be able to... But the flip side of that coin was Lani's great joy and love of life and love for others and love for her family. She had the ability to share with others, as Kate has talked about, to express joy, happiness. She loved to spend time with her family. And I guess the thing that I would always remember most is Lani's ability to laugh. And she laughed out loud. And I remember many occasions when she would laugh so hard and for so long that her body would just shake. She'd end up in tears because she just couldn't stop. And as soon as she stopped, she'd start all over again. And she'd have the family in tears and laughter. And that was Lani's great emotions, her ability. And above everything else, she got great joy out of being with her family, most especially her children. And now I'm looking at you guys. Because nothing made her happier, and nothing made her prouder than her children. Finally, the thing that I'm going to remember about Lani is that she was a giver. She never met a cause that she didn't embrace, or a charity, especially an animal charity, that she didn't want to contribute to. So as the executor of the estate and responsible for dealing with her taxes this year, I had to go through and list all of the causes that she had donated to for charitable deduction. And this is literally the list that I prepared, so bear with me. But in addition to her favorite charity, which is the Best Friends Animal Society, she donated last year, and none of these were really large donations, so don't feel like she gave away the inheritance, but she just couldn't pass up a cause. So she donated, this is the list literally, to the ASPCA, the Guardians, the Cuddly Animal Rescue, the East Bay SPCA, the International Fund for Animal Welfare, Moms and Mutts for Pregnant and Nursing Dogs, the Paws of Hawaii, Puppy Surgery, Reptile Adventures, the Roatan Rescue for Animals in the Honduras, Survival Tales Animal Rescue, the Australian Bonaroon Wildlife Sanctuary, this is my favorite, the Ironwood Pig Sanctuary. She donated to several GoFundMe campaigns, including in memory and support of the Pan Walk Restaurant. She donated to Andrew McCabe's Legal Defense Fund. What? Pawa? I spelled it wrong, but you must know what it is. Pawa. Well, I wrote it down here as Pan Walk, but Pawa. But Home Where the Heart Is, to help rebuild Robin Briggs' home after it was burned down. Houses for the Rohingya refugees. Sir Darius's Possum Mission to make bow ties for cats and dogs to make them more appealing. The Praxis Project, which is a school for undocumented youth. Help Meadow Alexander, who was a cancer victim. Help Joshua Carver get a service dog. The Sergeant David T. Johnson Scholarship Fund. He was a wounded vet. She donated to Join Hearts, to COVID Relief, to Alzheimer's Association, the Breast Cancer Action, Swim Across America, Cancer Research, the American Cancer Society, the National Parks Conservation Association, Public Radio, the Chill Foundation, which is a youth development group, the Rescue Mission of Salt Lake City, Voices for Utah Children, Alliance for a Better Utah, Salvation Army Salt Lake City, Warm the Homeless Salt Lake City, the Global Giving Fund for Caribbean Hurricane Relief, the Global Giving Fund for 100 Bikes for 100 Girls, Freedom U for Undocumented Children, Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services, the Hispanic Federation, the Mana Maloi Hawaiian Music Academy, Slide Ranch Youth Summer Camp, Sudura Freedom Fund for Women and Children in India, the Bet Salam, Charity Water, I'm almost finished. Equal Justice Initiative, Act Blue, Vote Vets, the Close Up Foundation for a youth trip to Washington, D.C. in order to promote democracy, and a very long list I won't read of political candidates. I did notice that a certain president wasn't on the list.
Shocker.
Those of you who know Lani wouldn't find that surprising. So while Lani may have been small in stature, she was very big in heart. And lots of people and lots of animals are going to be very sorry for her passing. So if anybody ever wants to honor her legacy, there are a lot of animals out there who have lost a benefactor that you can be a substitute for. I recently connected with an old friend and I, who traveled around the country. And we had mostly only one or two cassettes. They were all John Denver things that we listened to ad nauseum for miles and miles that we drove. And when I reunited with him, I was reminded of that. And I turned on Spotify to listen to a marathon of John Denver songs. And while I was listening, one song came on that just made me stop what I was doing and think about Lani because of the words to that. I don't even actually remember that song. I don't think it was on our cassette. But can you play that? This just made me think of Lani as I was listening to it.
All this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life. Such is being, such is spirit, such is love. City of joy, city of sorrow, city of promise, city of pain. Such is life. Such is being. Such is spirit. Such is love.
It goes on like that, mostly the same words for a few more verses if any of you are familiar with the song, but it's become sort of my theme song for thinking about Lani and remembering Lani. All this joy, all this sorrow, all this promise, all this pain, such is life, such is being, such is spirit, such is love, such was Lani. Lani, we love you, we miss you, and you will forever be in our hearts. God bless.